Climate change, like it or not, it's happening. And if you are, or at least you saw our little reform live stream, you'll remember, I can't remember the councillor's name now, but he was one of the reform councillors. He goes, now, I'm not a climate change denier, but and it's always, it's always the same. You can always hear that dreaded but when someone says, I am not this, but. And then he continued to rattle off all these climate denial arguments. But as we've talked about before, climate denial has shifted its position. At one time, it was basically solely and purely that climate change isn't real, it's not happening, it's made up by these, woke scientists. I know, scientists being woke before it was cool. Who knew? But now it has come on to, or at least they say they're not climate deniers anymore. They acknowledge climate change is happening, but then they are either A, skeptical of the science, or they are skeptical that, oh, you don't understand. This type of, warming and cooling has happened before. And this is just a phase we're going through, guys. It's just like, some sort of fad that we're going through. Climate change is just some ecological fad. Yeah, trust me. They're just as bad as ever more and more trying to deny the evidence that is happening right in front of their eyes, even though continuously science proves time and time and time again that yes, the science was always right. Climate change is happening and it is only getting worse. So here we are, of course, with Reform UK on Warwickshire. Oh, sorry, Worcester. Sorry, get my right town. Worcester. Initially saying that he doesn't believe in climate change, but now he does. But he still sort of doesn't. But he's just asking questions. That old chestnut, yep, being rolled out. So, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. Like I say, click on the like, the share, and of course the subscribe button down as well. And of course, don't forget to ring the bell as well so you get notifications when we go live or we do a new video. There are, of course, links down below as well. The Patreon page, the Buy Me Coffee link, the YouTube thank you button, all that good stuff down below that you can help support the channel with. So, as always, thank you very much to everyone who does help and support the channel that way. So let's crack on, as always, into this. So, the title of Reform does believe in climate change, says Highways Chief. But does he really? So, Worcester's Reform Cabinet says it does believe in climate change. Environmental Chief Ian Cresswell last week failed to commit to an answer when asked if climate change was happening and was primarily caused by humans. Wow. Imagine being in charge of the environment and then not being able to commit to an answer if asked is climate change happening. Truly the intelligentsia of reform out in force on these councils. Anyway, this of course led to the criticism that people who do not understand science were now running Worcester County Council. And oh boy, are they. Karl Perks, the cabinet member for highways and transport, has now sought to try and clarify the cabinet's position. He said, yes, we absolutely believe in climate change. As a cabinet and as a party, we recognise that human activity has played a significant role in accelerating it. However, in response to the question raised by Councillor Matt Jenkins at the full council meeting on the 10th of July, no, I do not personally believe that we are the sole cause of climate change. Again, trying to obscure things, just deny humans aren't the sole cause of this. It's China. China's actually going through its own green revolution. It is doing stuff to fight climate change. But for some reason, no, we can't do anything until China's done something about it. China's actually doing something about climate change. So can we now do something about it? Oh, no, we can't. No, we can't. Other reasons. It's always some new excuse. Anyway, and of course, this is the another classic chestnut we're getting rolled out here. The Earth has, of course, experienced climate fluctuations throughout its history, long before industrialization. So, of course, as we said, we're just going through a phase. It's just a phase, guys. It's just like, when you dyed your hair when you were a teenager. We'll just grow out of it. Anyway, that said, it is, of course, undeniable that our actions, especially during and after Industrial Revolution, have had a major impact, including contributing to issues like ozone depletion. Today, the UK accounts for 0.7% of global emissions. The major emissions now come from larger, industrialized, and rapidly developing nations. Of course, that is, again, not an excuse we should get out of. We should do some of this stuff. We should, transition. We should work towards net zero. Even if we are just 0% of global emissions, why can't we become the world leader in this type of stuff? As we've said before, there is a green industrial revolution happening right now before our eyes, but people like this who keep on, shooting us in the foot every time we try and move forward on some of this stuff. Anyway, while of course we must acknowledge our role in this, we must also recognize that our future approach must also be realistic and fair. Again, this is the other new one they're rolling out as well. In an environment overview and scrutiny panel this week, Councillor Perkins said reform does not stand with net zero. So, how do we achieve net zero? Oh, we've got to do it realistically and fairly. Then why not put money in so that people can afford all this net zero stuff, provide subsidies to them so that they can install solar panels, so that they can do stuff this. Look at ways where you can, help them. The reform want to do that? No. Anyway, continuing on his statement on climate, he also went on to add, the goal of net zero is important and necessary, but we believe the current timeline is too aggressive and risks placing disproportionate burdens on our most vulnerable communities and struggling businesses. So why not help them? Also, it is not bad to have ambitious goals. It is not aggressive. It does not place proportionate burden unless you want it to. Maybe reform should be arguing for subsidies. Do all this type of stuff, but does it do any of that? Does it advocate for any of that? No. We can no longer, of course, ask them to shoulder the cost of this transition while failing to hold the now larger global emitters now to the same standards. Those are two separate things. Why not help them, again, shoulder those costs? What are you doing to help them? Anyway, until viable, accessible alternatives to fossil fuels exist at scale, they already do, progress, of course, will be limited. It's only limited because of people like you. We risk now continuing down a path driven more by profit and politics than by practical, innovative solutions. And it is you guys who are doing that, who are doing the politics on this. Anyway, as a country and as a cabinet, we of course remain committed to supplying we do remain committed to supporting the climate agenda, but we will do so with a balanced community-first approach that ensures economic resilience, protects livelihoods, and delivers genuine, lasting change. And again, just excuses to try and stop all this stuff as much as possible, to gum it up, to question, to just ask questions, guys. Do we really need this solar farm? Do we really need this wind farm? That's all they're doing. But apparently they're really for it. And then we're just asking questions. Is this a viable? No. Again, ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. Say this is just modern climate denialism. This is now what it looks like. you know, we can't deny climate change is happening anymore, but now we're just going to go and try and stop and stall and be the gap to stop any of this transition to greener energy, to greener industries as much as possible. So, as always, let me know what you think down below. I'm sorry if you are from, Warwickshire. They're not Warwickshire, Worcester. Sorry, get it right. I'm sorry if you are from Worcester. You've got these idiots in charge now. Good luck. All I can say. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.